Hey everybody, it is Kellen Nitro from Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited coming at you with another Nitro's Take by request. And this one, as always, he seems to send them in every month. Nick Opalewski and Nick on Facebook sent this one in, and today is his birthday, so happy birthday as this video goes up on June 28th, 2020. So happy birthday to you, sir. This is the 1993 King of the Ring Nitro's Take in review and opinion. Just kind of a, well, I don't want to say quick, but, you know, my synopsis of the event. I've seen this event like dozens of times before on video. Watched it again on the WWE Network, you know, in preparation for this. And it is a fun event. You know, the card itself emanated from Dayton, Ohio back on June 13th of 1993 from the legendary Nutter Center in Dayton. Sold out 6,500 people at that time, 6,500. That was the sellout for that building. And it's the very first King of the Ring, which is exciting, to say the least, and a brand new tournament concept. 8-man tournament. Qualifying matches were held in the days prior to this, and so your field looked like this going into the tournament. So there was a round of 15 with the first round showing up on television, and then the quarterfinals, semis, and finals going to pay-per-view, but it ended up being one semifinal, as we'll tell you a little bit later on. Bret Hart, he was the number one seed after the debacle at WrestleMania 9. He got a bye into the second round. His opponent in the second round will be Razor Ramon. He took on Tito Santana and beat Tito in 321. Mr. Perfect defeated Doink the Clown in the third of 3 matches between Perfect and Doink for the spot. And Perfect won the penultimate match in 11 minutes and 30 seconds on a Superstar taping, I believe, or Monday Night Raw, I can't remember which. He'll go into the quarterfinals to take on Mr. Hughes, who defeated Kamala via countout at 2:45. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, he defeated Papa Shango via pinfall in 8 minutes and 39 seconds on a television taping. He goes in as Bam Bam Bigelow started his run through the tournament by beating Typhoon in 5 minutes and 8 seconds. The final brackets were met with the Narcissist Lex Luger defeating Bob Backlund in 4:53 via countout, and Tatanka defeating Giant Gonzalez in 3 minutes to set up the Narcissist Lex Luger versus Tatanka in the quarterfinals. So matchups look as such. Bret Hart takes on Razor Ramon in round number 2, I guess. Mr. Perfect takes on Mr. Hughes. Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus Bam Bam Bigelow, and the Narcissist Lex Luger takes on Tatanka. Now, on to the show itself. So before the live pay-per-view began, a dark match took place between Owen Hart and Papa Shango. Papa Shango pinned Owen Hart to retain the USWA World Heavyweight Championship, the Unified World Heavyweight Championship, which was defended in the WWF as part of a talent exchange program between the WWF and the United States Wrestling Association. I do believe that this match aired on Memphis TV because that was their promotion between Owen and Papa Shango, and it is out there on YouTube if you do search for it. I think it is out there. By all accounts, it was a fairly entertaining contest. There was no time recorded on the card at all, but, you know, it's a rare Owen Hart match, and those are fun to watch, especially in the YouTube and WWE Network generation that we live in, and New Japan World, etc., etc. So Owen is on his card. He's just in a pre-show. We get into the pay-per-view portion now. Vince McMahon welcomes us and goes through the brackets, and Jim Ross welcomes us to the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. JR, Randy Savage, and Bobby the Brain Heenan welcomes us, and they run down the card for the night, and we go straight into the second round matchup, I should say. Not first round matchup, but the quarterfinal matchup, number 1. Razor Ramon versus Bret the Hitman Hart. Single elimination tournament. Don't forget, winner of it all, crowned King of the Ring. This is a huge opener. Yeah, even for 1993. Scott Hall versus Bret Hart is a huge opener. The crowd antagonizes Razor with the 1-2 free chant. Of course, he was right in the midst of this program with the 1-2 free kid. For more on that, check out the previous requested review from Nick on this channel. I believe it is the 6/27/93 Monday Night Raw, or something along those lines. You can take a look at it and let me know what you think. Now, of course, the way that these matches ran out, all first round matches were 1 fall 15 minutes. All semifinal matches were 1 fall 30 minutes. And then all final round matches, or the final for the King of the Ring, 1 fall 1 hour time limit. The winner of this one gets the winner of the Perfect Hughes match in round number 2. And the match begins. There's a monster short arm clothesline by Ramon early on Bret Hart, and a great back and forth until Ramon throws Hart into a ring post. Bret's shoulder was hurting off of that, and that'd be one of the many injuries by the end of the show that Bret would be selling all pay-per-view. Bret, though, fights back, and a near fall, lands a near fall, I should say, off of the second rope elbow, and an amazing near fall with a Bret Hart small package. I thought that was the finish of the match. No, that was pretty awesome. And the actual finish of the match, Bret Hart counters Razor's fall-away slam from the top and gets the 1-2 free. A great opener to open things up. Runtime for that one was 10:28, and a stellar opening contest match on this show. We then flash back to WWF Superstars the week prior. Harvey Whippleman, Giant Gonzalez, and Mr. Hughes attack The Undertaker post-match and leave The Undertaker and Paul Bearer lying, and Mr. Hughes has the urn of The Undertaker. You would not see The Undertaker on this pay-per-view, and that's the reason why. They're building up a feud between Mr. Hughes and The Undertaker now. Well, basically, it's Whippleman's army versus The Undertaker. Mr. Hughes versus Mr. Perfect was up next, and that act the week before got Hughes over huge as a heel. The crowd is so hot against him right now because The Undertaker was so beloved back then, still is. An amazing towel shot by Perfect as he flings the towel onto Hughes' shoulder. He had dead aim accuracy with towel throwing. Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, he was great. This is the best Mr. Hughes match of his WWF run. Yes, indeed it is. I think that this is the best match that he has. Kurt Hennig and Mr. Perfect work well against him here. Picture-in-picture interview with Bret says he has no preference in who he wants to face, but he likes Mr. Perfect in this match. And then the finish of this match, Hughes hits Perfect with the urn, and Perfect gets a DQ victory. So it'll be Perfect versus Bret Hart in the semifinals. Runtime for that one is 6:02. I have no worries or no problems with how that went down. It's a second round match on a pay-per-view, or first round on a pay-per-view. You want to set up Perfect and Hart anyway, so there you go. Both of them fighting something going into a big semifinal match. We didn't go to the back. Mean Gene is in the back with Yokozuna as Japanese music is playing over a boombox in Yoko's dressing room. This is a rare Yoko promo because Yoko actually speaks. He says that you, Hulk Hogan, and America will go down tonight in a rematch for the WWF title. Second round action, the King of the Ring tournament continues with Bam Bam Bigelow versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Hacksaw is in the midst of one of his biggest pushes ever in his career at this point. He's working a program with Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental title, and he just came off of getting squashed just prior to WrestleMania by Yokozuna, so they are really pushing Hacksaw big in the early part of '93. In WWE. Bam Bam, though, a relative newcomer to the WWF at this time. I think that he might have had maybe a month or two underneath him, I want to say. Sure, maybe about a month or two. Not very long at all. The winner of this match gets the winner of the Lex Luger Tatanka match. And this is a UWF special here. Two lumbering big men going head-to-head. To finish of this match, Duggan goes for the 3-point stance tackle. Bigelow moves at the last second. Duggan hits his head on a ring post, allowing Bigelow to go upstairs and come down with the diving headbutt for the 1-2 free victory. The running time on that one, 5 minutes even, and Bam Bam Bigelow advances to the semifinals. Who will he face? Would it be the narcissist Lex Luger, or will it be Tatanka? Oh, let's find out. An exclusive Coliseum video interview on the network version. It's basically a rip of the Coliseum video version, which is pretty rare to see with a pay-per-view, but that might be the only master tape of the event they have kicking around. Terry Taylor, yes, the former Red Rooster, is doing backstage interviewing on this cassette, and he interviews the Steiners and the Smoking Guns, basically hitting on how powerful their finishers are. The 8-man tag coming later on. Their opponents will be Money Inc. and the former SST, now the Head Shrinkers in WWE. Narcissus Lex Luger versus Tatanka in the final match of the second round. This would be the final pay-per-view appearance for the Narcissus character. See the channel for more, that aforementioned Raw and the lead up to the Stars and Stripes challenge. And I basically go through it verbatim what happened there for what you want to know. But this is the final pay-per-view appearance for the Narcissus character. He was full heel at this point. Hot start as Luger attacks Tatanka. Well, just prior to that, the ref attempts to place a pad over top of Luger's forearm. Yes, he was still working the gimmick with the bionic forearm of, having metal in his forearm and that stuff, and hitting people with it to get the free count. He has to put it on or he's disqualified from the tournament. So, of course, he throws the pad on. Hot start as Luger attacks Tatanka. Tatanka throws the mirror on top of Luger, and away we go. This match, Luger's overselling is at an all-time high here. He is just a selling king here. It's incredible. Bam Bam is in the picture-in-picture. Yeah, Bam Bam Bigelow, who just won the match, says he wants Tatanka as there was a little feud building between the two of them. A couple of small package attempts only land in near falls, and Tatanka is throwing everything at Luger towards the end of the limit. Same with Luger towards the end of the time limit, and then here comes the finish. Luger hits Tatanka with a power slam, gets a 2 count, but then the bell rings and the time limit has elapsed. Both are eliminated, and Bam Bam Bigelow will get a bye to the semifinals. Luger grabs the mic and says that he wants 5 more minutes. The crowd pops because they want to see 5 more minutes and they want to see a definitive winner here. Of course they're big. The refs are saying no, forget it. But that distracts Tatanka as the ref is talking to Tatanka. He has his back to Luger, and Luger hits him with the exposed forearm. He tosses the pad, and that's it for the second round of the 93 King of the Ring tournament. The first round that you see on pay-per-view. And this is an incredible round. It's often overlooked in the history of the tournament. It is one of the best, pay-per-view first rounds, actual second rounds for the tournament that you will see. The year after, 94 actually had a really decent, best second round that you'll see, or quarterfinals that you'll see as well. The 8 guys that they got lined up there was really good as well. But this is really the cream of the crop here. This was the best. Backstage, Mean Gene is hosting a face-to-face between Mr. Perfect and Bret Hart. Perfect says he remembers SummerSlam and he wants revenge. Great callback to 1991, which was unheard of back then. You never heard the WWE going back into storyline and talking about past pay-per-views and that stuff. That was just a jaw-dropping moment for people that, he's talking about SummerSlam in 91, and yeah, Bret did beat him. The hype is real here. Yes, indeed it is. And the Hitman is taped up on his left hand from the Razor match, and we go right into the semifinal. Yeah, Bret Hart's fingers were all taped up because Razor Ramon did a spot where he stomped on Bret's fingers a couple of times. So Bret's selling the knee, he's selling the fingers. Perfect is selling his head a little bit from the earn hit from Mr. Hughes earlier on. Crisp technical action to start. Near fall off the crucifix pin for Bret. Perfect throws Hart from the apron, and Bret smokes his knee on some camera equipment. This is by far match of the night, and it's also a potential match of the year candidate for 93 out of the major North American promotions. I would have to say that it is the match of the year in 1993. This is such a back and forth contest, and it's such a classic. It's a great 18 minutes and 57 seconds, and it is one of the higher rated matches close to 5-star matches that you'll see from 1993 is this semifinal matchup between Perfect and Hart, and it's just incredible. Bret recovers and starts working on Perfect's knee. There's a figure 4 by Bret Hart, no dice for a submission there. Perfect with a heel tactic, using the ropes to elevate himself off of the sleeper, which allows Bobby Heenan to say, hey, he's still under my influence. Look at this. Look at what he's doing. Hart wheels Perfect across the ring, but Perfect can't slow down, and he ends up crotching himself on the ring post. That was a still cringeworthy moment in 2020 when you watch it. The back again. I forgot that happens. Second rope elbow, only a 2 count for Bret. A sharpshooter attempt by Bret, foiled by Perfect grabbing the Hitman's fingers. Yeah, he's still milking the broken fingers a little bit. Time for the finish. Both men get dumped outside via a suplex attempt, and both slowly roll in. Perfect lands a small package and gets a 2, but then Bret reverses it and lands a free, and one of the best King of the Ring matches in tournament history, and one of the Match of the Year candidates. In fact, my pick for 1993 Match of the Year is over, and Bret Hart gets the Duke and moves on to the final round to take on a well-rested Bam Bam Bigelow. Post-match, Perfect and Bret stand face-to-face and shake hands, and the crowd erupts. It's an amazing match. It's the best match on the show, and if you watch one match from this show, that's what you watch, wrestling fans. It's amazing. Mean Gene is in the back with Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Hart, the WWF champion. This is historic. This is the last promo Hogan would cut in the WWF until February of 2002. The next match, the WWF Championship, the challenger Yokozuna getting his rematch for the WWF title versus Hulk Hogan. Yoko walks out with a throng of Japanese photographers, and this is Hogan's first title defense since winning the title at WrestleMania 9. That review of that event is up on the channel for sure. I should also mention to say that this by far is not the most definitive review of King of the Ring 1993. There are some links to OSW Review and a few other works down below. I suggest that you go and check those out. And this one here that I'm doing tonight is just, like I said, one man's take of the entire event. And it's definitely not a blow-by-blow, even though at times it does sound like it. Yeah, there's a disclaimer. This is the earliest and the first time I remember seeing a match graphic off of the bell that said WWF Championship. Awesome production technique, and quite frankly, I'd love to see it used more often today. I find it that they don't run that graphic as much anymore, and it doesn't have to be across the entire screen. It can just be lower third and pop it in. Yoko with the offense early with chops, but Yoko goes for a big splash. Hogan evades and goes back on offense. Hogan attempts a slam, no dice. He attempts a second slam. Again, not going. Third time, no dice. Great commentary by Savage, JR, and Heenan here. And the finish of the match, the Hulkster hulks up, hits the leg drop, only gets a 2 count, and then a photographer jumps up on the apron at ringside and distracts Hogan with an exploding camera. Yoko hits a Samoan slam, 1, 2, 3, the new champ, Yokozuna. Post-match, Yoko hits the bonsai drop on Hogan and poses with the belt. And yes, Hulk Hogan is no longer the WWF champion because of a booking decision that involved a Japanese photographer on the apron with an exploding camera. Man, the 90s, right? And that would be it for Hogan. Post this match, we don't see him. He does a bunch of international house shows with Yokozuna for about a month after, and then he leaves the WWF focused on his acting career. He stars in the series Thunder in Paradise, a weekly syndicated television show that ran from 1993 to 1994, and while filming the show, he was offered a contract with World Championship Wrestling, which was WWF's main competitor, Eric Bischoff and company, and joins WCW in the summer of 94. Yoko, on the other hand, would be the WWF champion well into WrestleMania 10 the next year at Madison Square Garden off of this. So this is a long run, and about a 9-month run or so. He loses it, dropping it to Bret Hart, who builds a ton of momentum off of this as we continue to talk. This is he's one of the breakout performances and breakout performers of this show. Backstage with another Coliseum video exclusive, Terry Taylor grabs Mr. Perfect. Perfect isn't happy at all for losing the semifinal. And then we transition to another backstage interview with Mean Gene with Shawn Michaels and Diesel in the background. Yes, we find out the bodyguard's name is Diesel here in this interview. It's a big moment because it gives Kevin Nash, FKA Vinny Vegas, in WCW, his WWF name. This is Diesel. This is the bodyguard for Shawn Michaels. 8-man tag coming up next. The Steiner Brothers and Smoking Guns take on Money Inc. and the Head Shrinkers. And yes, beefing up the card with an 8-man tag of your tag division rather than trying to pick 2 teams to have a tag title match to fill time on this card. One of the best lines on this, commentary-wise, throughout the entire card. JR talking about Billy's rodeo scholarship. That's a legit thing, that he went to Sam Houston State for a rodeo scholarship and got it. And that was his whole deal going to school. Brain, don't you know anyone who didn't go to school? Just, I don't know, just like the grumpy, like the dad trying to sass you for being a smart ass almost, you know? He's just, don't you know anyone who didn't go to school? I popped for that. That was huge. The finish of this match, Billy nails a small package on DiBiase after DiBiase locked in the $1 Million Dream, but did not go to the pin, or go for the pin. 1, 2, 3 for the team of the Steiners and Guns, and then there's a big brawl between all 8 men, all 4 teams afterwards, and the faces stand alone. Mean Gene is in Yokozuna's dressing room. President Tunney is standing by, congratulating Mr. Fuji, and will not hear anything about any controversy or whatever in the count. The new world champion is, or new WWF champion, I should say, is Yokozuna. Fuji says a big celebration coming for the American people. Yeah. See the Raw review for, again, the 6/27/93 Monday Night Raw that's on this channel that Nick had requested last year for a huge reveal on that. It's the Stars and Stripes Challenge. Yeah, that's basically the celebration there. WWF IC title on the line next. Crush takes on Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental Championship. HBK, of course, is the Intercontinental Champ. He just got the belt back off of Marty Jannetty on Monday Night Raw about a week or so prior. We see another match graphic kind of pop in as a lower third. I love that touch. Diesel pays dividends on the outside as Crush gets his head ran into the post several times by Diesel, and then Michaels starts working Crush's head into the post. HBK tries for a free count, only lands a 2. Crush though fights it off and lands a near fall off of the Crush kind of full Nelson slam thing he was doing. The finish, 2 doinks hit the ring to distract Crush, and HBK hits the super kick to the back of Crush's head while Crush is in the corner of the ring, just kind of pointing at both doinks. 1, 2, 3, HBK retains, and I do believe that this is the same alignment of doinks that we had at WrestleMania. I think it's still Matt Bourne and Steve Kern here as the 2 doinks that walk out to the ringside, kind of walking like a marching army, and one of the doinks has a cigar in his mouth, like a man walking to the gallows. I don't get it. Like a last cigarette almost. Yeah, strange gag comedy. And don't forget, the doink character, that's supposed to be Krusty the Clown, everybody. Yeah, that's the interpretation of that. I know, right? Mean Gene is in the back with Bam Bam. He's ready to go. They hit the music. It's time for the King of the Ring finals. 1 fall, 1 hour time limit. 1 fall to a finish, like I said. Bam Bam Bigelow versus Bret Hitman Hart. Bret Hart banged up like nobody's business going into this one. He's gone 3 rounds. He's got hurt fingers. He's got a hurt knee. Bam Bam only has wrestled once prior in this card, and it wasn't a very challenging match with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Kind of tossed him around a bit. And this pay-per-view is Bam Bam's coming out party. Yes, 2 great matches with Bret and Duggan. Bam Bam chucks Bret to the outside. Give the crowd credit. They remained hot throughout this entire card. When Bret's on the outside, Luna Vachon walks from the back with a chair and nails Bret in the back with a steel chair. And this is the first that we see of a real alignment with Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon as Bam Bam's main squeeze, as the heel female valet for Bam Bam Bigelow going forward. And she would add so much to Bam Bam's character in WWE as the new generation kind of kicks off here. Bam Bam rolls hard in and nails the flying headbutt and gets a free count. So we think it's over. That's it. It's done. So we think it's over with. It's done. Bam Bam's the new king of the ring. Well, hold on. Joey Marella and Earl Hebner debate in the ring, and they decide that the match will continue. Bret fights back and lands a crossbody to the outside. Gets a near fall with his diving clothesline. A second rope bulldog leads to a sharpshooter attempt. No dice though. Bam Bam just tosses them again back to the outside. And then it's time for the finish. Victory roll by Bret out of the corner lands the 1-2-3 count, and Bret Hart wins the inaugural King of the Ring. Post-match, the coronation, Bret gets the robe, the scepter, and the crown. Mean Gene proclaims Bret as the 1993 King of the Ring. All of a sudden, Jerry Lawler appears, says he's here to confront the pretender to the throne. Bret says the only kind of king he is the Burger King. Lawler then jumps Bret and attacks him. Sets up one of the new generation's biggest feuds, and we go to the black, and the pay-per-view runs out at 2 hours and 42 minutes and 47 seconds with Lawler stomping a mud hole through Bret's crown, and just all the WWF officials gathered around Bret. So it's a big night for the heels, and we have a new WWF champion that's heel. The IC champions are heel. The tag team champions are heel. The only face that won anything on this card is Bret the Hitman Hart, and he's laying in a puddle of mire at the end because Jerry the King Lawler is calling him a false king, basically. So, again, big night for the heels, for sure. Alright, my thoughts out of 10 for this show. The show is still a pleasure to watch today. It's amazing. This was one of those rental tapes as a kid that you'd love to watch. Now you watch it back, and some of the stuff is cheesy. It hasn't aged well in places, but it's still a solid show from front to back, and Perfect and Bret still pops, still bangs today as a awesome match, as a 5-star encounter. So, yeah, 8 out of 10. Awesome show. Perfect length. It's quite the transitory pay-per-view because, again, this is the last time you'll see Hulk Hogan on WWF, WWE television until 2002. Because, again, the whole WCW thing, he jumps to WCW in 94. A whole bunch of other things going on, too, in the company at that time, leading to the creation of the New Generation movement and moving away from these stars that carried WWF wrestling through the late 80s into the early 90s. And, you know, this is I guess the coronation, pardon the pun, of, Bret Hart as, again, he's going to be a top guy going forward, as Yokozuna is going to be a top heel going forward. What we see in a few weeks, the Lex Luger thing kind of manufactured a little bit, but, there's big plans for him on the horizon. Tatanka, of course, big plans for him on the horizon as well. HBK Shawn Michaels still as the heel mid-card champion with his bodyguard now. A lot of character development there. So, very transitory, but still a very good watch for sure. All right, folks, later days. Happy wrestling watching. That's what I got out of this show. That's all I got from here tonight. Take it easy. And, again, see you next time on Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited. If you would like to request a show, hit me up on the socials at Kellen Nitro on Twitter, nitromaniactv@gmail.com, in the inbox for email, or in the comments section below on this or any video, and say, hey, you should take a look at this. So, anyways, later days. We'll see you next time, guys.